Today's question is, what's a saying that your mom or dad used to say all the time?
But before we begin, it would help us a lot if you subscribed, since 97.5% of the people who watch our videos are not subscribed. So without further ado, let's start. I am the youngest of 5 kids, so going anywhere was slow and tedious. My dad used to say, "And away we go, like a herd of turtles." God damn it, Mom just bought these 20 minutes ago. How are they all gone? I grew up in a large family and my mom would shop at those bulk food stores. She'd always buy one of those big plastic containers of bakery cookies, and my little brothers would eat all of them as they unloaded her car. My dad used to get so pissed. He loved those cookies. Me, how far until we're there? Dad, it's just around the corner. It was never just around the corner. My dad used to drive me to school every day in high school, and when I got out of the car, he would say, "Have a good day, learn something new, and don't waste the county name, taxpayers' money." I rolled my eyes every time he said it for a few years, but looking back it makes me smile. My dad, heavens to Murgatroyd. I spent years wondering what this meant, and not until I was an adult did I find out that it's something Snagglepuss used to say. Also my dad, Lordy Lordy, 1940, cut my legs and call me Shorty. I still don't know what this means. Anytime we were out and about somewhere and I told my mom I was thirsty, she would say, "Want me to spit in your mouth?" This was her whimsical and weirdly polite way of saying, "I cannot solve this problem for you right now, so shut up." I find it oddly comforting to use all of the above on my own kids at various times. The tradition continues. It makes me wonder if my parents were doing the same, and these things actually date to my grandparents, or even earlier. Turn signals must have been an option that year, when someone made a stupid turn or cut my dad off. Tell your story, walkin'. My dad got this from his instructor at the police academy, who was a retired NYPD officer. It wasn't necessarily a one-liner, but it's a favorite story of mine and made sense. He was a cop and firefighter, still is a firefighter at nearly 66 years old. The guy has seen some shit. In the mid-80s, right around the time I was born, he was working his shift as a cop and got a call for a domestic violence call at an address they visited frequently. He shows up with his backup a few minutes out. Woman runs out of the house, bloodied with her bruised-up son. Boyfriend/husband had beaten her and was right behind her coming out of the house. My dad grabs him, and he takes a swing on my dad. He dodges it and grapples the guy to get him to the ground. Guy begins swinging more, and my dad eventually body slams him and rams his knee into the guy's back, wrenches his arm back, and begins to cuff him. On the way to jail, the guy tells my dad that he doesn't fight fair. Besides telling him he at least fights someone who can give him a fair fight, and my favorite line, "They don't pay me to fight fair, they pay me to win." My dad went on that in nearly every situation. His job is to get the situation under control without resorting to putting one or several of his .38 caliber rounds into him. The guy says that it makes sense, and he never saw it like that. He told me this when I was 14 or so. You do what you have to do to make sure you walk away from a bad situation. Your head is as hard as a brick. I was always a stubborn child, but I get it from my dad, so, lol. He always used to tell me this. Alternatively, I know the Lord. Followed by my mom telling a petrified me that I was going to miss her when she was gone, as she angrily cleaned the house to an enviable sparkle that I can still only hope to achieve in my dreams. She rarely ever got angry or raised her voice, and she didn't have to, just cleaned while lecturing me and then telling me to take a walk so she could mop the floors and that I'd better not come back until it was done, and to leave my shoes in the garage when I came back to avoid making tracks, otherwise I'd then be in serious trouble. I've never tested her, LMAO. I had a good childhood, regardless. All I want for you is to be a better person than I am. Money isn't everything. We can make more of it. If you have to ask yourself, can I afford this? Then you don't need it. Doesn't cost a cent to be a good person. Youngest of 4 to a divorced mom working 3 jobs and on welfare. We all turned out fine. College degrees, decent jobs. It took us a while, but we really pushed ourselves together towards making a better life for our children, and holy shit, it is still a struggle, but at least now we understand that when we had cut up hot dogs in our Mac and cheese, it meant mom had some extra money that week. We take turns taking her on vacation. Every setback is for the best. My mom used to tell me a story about a soldier she knew who was trying to hitchhike home for the weekend from his base. He waited for a long time by the dusty road, waiting for a friendly car to pass by. Just as one arrived, an officer appeared and took the ride because of his seniority. Soldier couldn't do anything about it despite needing to get home by sundown, so he waited for the next car. Eventually one came along and in he got. Luckily with enough time to spare to get home in time. As they were driving along, he saw a car upturned and billowing smoke by the side of road. The same one the officer had gotten into earlier. I've had a lot of setbacks and successes in my life, but I know that there is always something good hiding in them if I pay attention and make the most of the opportunities one do get. My mom told me that, quote, every time I felt like I was going too slowly in life. And I think that helped me as a person more than she'll ever know. You ain't got a hair on your ass if you don't do this. Red on the noodle, like a dick on a poodle. Regarding redheads, had a few in the family. Dad was a truck driver, and he certainly learned and invented some funny ones while on the road. He died a couple years ago, and I miss him so much. He made us all laugh. I know there were many more colorful phrases, but those are what immediately come to mind. I can still hear them in his voice, and it makes me smile. Bonus good advice: always fill up your tank when it gets down to 1/4. Never when the gas truck is there at the station, because it stirs up crud. And always keep supplies in your car in case you get stuck for 24 hours. Yes, Dad. Smiley face. Come day, go day. May God send Sunday. When sick, I feel like a mule eating briars over a tin rail fence. When very sick, I feel like death eating a cracker. When so sick, I'd have to die to feel better. When attempting to align with your Southern Baptist upbringing, but you've just stepped on a Lego on your midnight walk to the bathroom. Hellfire the dadgum sinners and save the son of a biscuit matches. Alternatively, Lucifer be saved. When the house is a complete wreck, this house is toe up from the flow up. When someone died, their tits up. When someone lives who was fully expected to die, his plot going cold. Alabamians are weird. My dad was an old-timey military guy who drank a lot of beer. He was born in the early 30s. Lost him last year, unfortunately. Sad face. He had dozens of signature phrases that I now have stolen and continue to use. Response to when you enjoy something. I would say, "Gee, Dad, this burger was tasty." He'd respond, "Sure beats a sharp stick in the eye, doesn't it?" Response to when you make an obvious point. I'd say something like, "Grand Slam wins the ball game." He'd respond, "Gee, you're a fart smeller. I mean smart feller." Sarcastic response to "How are you doing?" If I were doing any better, I wouldn't be able to stand it. My family had loads of dysfunctional sayings. After my sister yawned, she would say, "Stop boring me." This is the least offensive out of the batch. My father would comment about women as mutton dressed as sheep. My aunt's favorite was "men age, women expire." While I was growing up, my mom would say, "If your dick wasn't attached, you'd lose it." Whenever I did a big screw up, she would reminisce about missing her appointment with Dr. Morgan Taylor. Though the best was probably what she saved for high school. "Don't drink, I won't come get you. If you smoke weed, you'll have to share. Don't have sex, you'll be terrible." She'll tell all her friends and they'll all laugh at you. What a bucket of lies. Being terrible at sex in high school is the only right time. High school girls don't know better. None of this beats a friend's mom who, upon learning that her son was going to a strip club, said, It'll be like your mother but younger. And this is the end of today's video. I hope you liked it, and don't forget to comment an anecdote or experience similar to the topic of the video. Leave your like, share if you like the video, and lastly, don't forget to activate the little bell so you don't miss any of our daily videos. Bye-bye.